So, if you're already a fan of the channel, you know that I review video production gear and teach photo and video editing. But every once in a while, I talk about something a little bit off topic. And today, that something is e-bikes. Specifically, the Roadster V2 from Ride1Up. Why? Because for a long time, e-bikes were an important part of getting to and from my studio. One, because my wife and I mostly work from home and share a car, and two, it costs very little to charge and maintain, and in general is just more environmentally sustainable. So with all the commuter and fat tire e-bikes out there, why did I go with a gravel style bike? Well, one, it doesn't look much like an e-bike with an understated computer, and I don't have to worry as much about someone trying to steal the battery, which is built into the frame. And two, it makes it significantly lighter if I need to lug it upstairs, which I actually had to do with my previous bike. This massive and extremely awkward to carry Espen Flow, which came in at 55 pounds. The Roadster, on the other hand, only weighs 33 pounds. Now, the Flow, of course, had more range and power, but that wasn't what I needed for commuting the 4-mile round trip to my studio. Plus, the Roadster, it just looks slick. But before we get into it, let's take a look at some of the other accessories I got with the bike. First, we have the Abus hoodie, which style-wise is kind of the perfect helmet for this bike. It's super sleek and has a nice USB rechargeable light that magnetically clips to the back. That way you don't have to have the whole helmet sitting on your counter when you recharge the light. The only downside is that this is not a MIPS helmet, so just bear that in mind. Next we have the Abus Alarm Box 2.0, which, as the name implies, has a built-in alarm to scare off any would-be bike thieves. And if you already have a lock you like, you don't actually have to use the included chain. You can just use the alarm box all by itself, which attaches to your bike frame with 2 spring steel straps. A small bump will activate a few short warning beeps, but if the bike starts moving around too much, it'll sound an ear-piercing 100 decibel alarm. Okay, so enough on accessories, let's get to the bike. Now, if you've ever assembled a bike, this is going to look very familiar. The bike comes mostly assembled. You just have to attach the handlebar, wheel, and seat, and you're pretty much good to go. The bike, of course, comes with instructions, charger, a nice set of Allen keys, a wrench, and, funny enough, a Ride1Up beanie. The only issue I had during assembly was the handlebars. Whoever ran the cables in the factory didn't do it quite right, so I had to remove the grip, take the brake lever off, untangle the lines, and put everything back on. Not the end of the world, just a little annoying. Next, just plug in the charger, watch for the light to turn from red to green, and you're ready to go with a full battery. Now let's talk components, because at roughly $1,100, this bike is in the danger zone for potentially cost-cutting inferior parts. For instance, hydraulic disc brakes at this price point often suffer from leaks and have to be bled frequently. Otherwise, they end up squishy and lose their stopping power. But not so with the Roadster V2. They appropriately used cables instead of hydraulics, and while cables don't have as much stopping power, they will be infinitely more reliable at this price. The only thing that seemed a little extravagant was the metal pedals, and sure enough, the right pedal started clicking pretty soon after testing, which probably means a bearing problem. They didn't spin easily out of the box either, which could just be the type of grease they used. Either way, I would swap out the pedals. Now let's get to the elephant in the room, the gearing. Yes, it's a single speed, and yes, it has a belt instead of a chain. This is also something I was happy to see, because it means less maintenance. For instance, I don't have to grease a chain. It does come with a downside in terms of e-bike efficiency though. See, with a 21 or whatever speed e-bike, you can keep your bike on the lowest power setting, shift to the easiest gear, and still make it uphill while reserving some power with a single speed. On steeper inclines, the only thing you can do is to adjust the power. So on steeper climbs, I had to bump the power all the way up to 5. It has 5 power settings, by the way, 0 being essentially off. And side note, if you're pushing the e-bike, you can hold the minus button for an assisted push. Now then, what about the range? So the advertised range is 20 to 30 miles. And if you've watched any number of e-bike videos, you know this is where things get a little tricky. Generally speaking, the upper range is estimated on flat terrain, so the bike hardly has to work at all. I did my big test on extremely varied terrain and went so far I ran out of battery, which made for a very painful ride back. So my testing method was just to use it like I normally would. If the uphill got too hard, I would put it at an appropriate power level. If it was flat or downhill, I would reduce the power or turn it off completely. Honestly, on relatively flat terrain, because the bike is only 33 pounds, it made for a relatively easy ride, even without power. Anyway, range ended up being about 18 miles on a full charge, which was a little disappointing. And for reference, with my backpack, water, bike lock, etc., I probably weighed in at about 170 or 175 pounds. Now, does that range matter for my purposes? Not in the slightest. Not only does that cover my 4-mile round trip 4 times over, but I could easily plug the bike in once I got to the studio. And if I really wanted to stretch that range, I could always be a little more careful about how much power I'm using. Though, as I mentioned earlier, that is a little more difficult to do with a single speed. But overall, the ride was smooth, the frame was solid, the gravel tires were the perfect balance of speed and comfort, and the seat, while more of a women's seat in design, was comfortable for short commutes. And because it's of a lighter weight, I wouldn't have any trouble riding this thing for short jaunts around town without any power assistance, which is pretty cool. With this bike, you do get a 1-year warranty against manufacturer defects, with the option to buy up to 3 years of additional coverage. So who is this for, and would I recommend it? Well, first, this is for anyone who wants a sleek, low-profile e-bike who's just carrying yourself in a backpack. So commutes, heading to the local library, picking up that one thing at the grocery store, or leisurely pedals on a nearby trail. Now, you can add panniers to this thing, but with the lack of gears and a lower power rear hub motor, I think you'd be better off with a beefier bike if you were looking for something to, say, pick up groceries. So, yeah, for a bike at this price, I'm pretty happy with it, despite a few shortcomings. So, if you want to check it out for yourself, I'll put a link in the description below. And maybe you do want something with a longer range or a beefier frame, something that you can tow the kids with. They have options there as well. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.